It is Thursday, February 5th, and you're watching the SIG podcast, Trust the Process. Boy, do we have some topics for you today. Listen, we kind of go with what's happening in the news, and sometimes when there's nothing, we'll just make up a topic and whatnot. We'll take a suggestion. This week, we don't need to. We're going to talk Gavin McKenna, of course. We are a prospect show after all, and we're going to talk about the situation, how that may affect his future in the NHL, and all of the above. We're also going to talk about the Artemi Panarin trade, but from the Rangers' perspective, did they get enough? And is Liam Greentree a good replacement for Artemi Panarin? We'll talk about that. Snake is also going to give us his Olympic Team Russia, if there was one. This is maybe what it would look like. Afterwards, we have, of course, a mailbag question, a really good one too, and a whole lot more in between. Folks, it's going to be a good show. Stay tuned. It all starts right here, right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Trust the process. The sickest NHL prospect podcast with Snake and Shayne.
With the 5th overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
He's gonna be sick.
Producer Shayne here, joined as always by my counterpart, Simon the Snake Boisvert. Snake, how are we feeling today?
Having lots of fun watching NBA trade deadline week.
It's crazy.
I know it's today, I think at 3 o'clock, but sometimes I wish the NHL would do the same thing. But I know it's not the same sport. It's not the same contract structure.
Yeah.
So, man, these guys in the NBA, these GMs, they really dare.
Oh my God!
I mean, lots of trades.
3 first-round picks.
Yeah. Because first-round picks don't have the same value in basketball.
No, that's it.
Unless you get a top 5 pick or something. But it's incredible how teams gamble with, let's say, a 28 or 29 first-rounder that could actually sometimes become the number 1 pick.
Yeah. And
I know most teams protect them, and that's why in the NHL, you've seen this idea of protecting picks now.
Mm-hmm.
NFL doesn't do it. But NBA, NHL, they protect picks. Top 2, top 5, top 10, just in case. So look at the Rangers last year. Imagine if they had not given their pick to Pittsburgh and decided to give it this year.
Yeah.
You never know what happens if you lose the lottery. So, yeah, lots of fun with the NBA. Hopefully in 1 month, we'll have fun with the NHL trade deadline.
Well, you know what? That's actually a great topic. A little bit here, we'll touch on that because I feel like this could actually be one of the more active NHL trade deadlines because in past years it's been okay. There's a few trades in weeks before, and they're kind of like sprinkled about, and then the day of, there's nothing left. Like there's a few minor trades, but that's about it, right? Last year, I remember Mikko Rantanen, Carolina to Dallas. That was the big one, but aside from that, it wasn't much going on.
Well, we obviously feel bad for the TSN RDS.
Hey, they go on for 8 hours, and they're like
Sportsnet. Yeah, we feel bad for them when all these trades happen a few days before the trade deadline.
Horrible.
Yeah,
but I feel like this year could be different because of the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
The Olympics take us all the way to February 26th, I believe, and the deadline is like March 5th or something, March 6th.
And you can imagine that with teams not playing during the Olympics, the pro scouting staff and GMs can gather together, lots of talk, lots of trade talk during the roster freeze. So it could be interesting. But it's always about how many sellers are there, how many buyers are there. And I think right now, look at the Eastern Conference, bearing a big winning streak or a big losing streak.
Yeah.
I think it's set.
Pretty much.
But some team can go on an 8-9 game winning streak, or some team can go on an 8-9 game losing streak, and that's going to change the picture. Mm-hmm. But for now, it's pretty much set. So are these teams who are 6, 7, 8 points behind with 25 games left at the time, or 20 games left, mortgage their future to perhaps go for a playoff run, or they're just going to trade assets thinking, okay, let's retool for next year. Like the Leafs, for instance. To an extent, the Capitals.
Yeah.
Not many people saw the Capitals out of the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's Florida. Florida is a different situation. They didn't have Barkov, Kachuk. So I think with that team, they're going to bounce back next year. But there are teams right now. Winnipeg, what do you do with Winnipeg?
Oh,
they won the President's Trophy last year, and they're going to be, they could get the number 1 pick this year.
Crazy.
How the mighty have fallen. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. And for the Habs, obviously, it will be interesting because it's probably the first time in years that they're in a position to make trades that matter, because they're not going to be selling, obviously. And if they are selling because of the surplus of forwards, they're going to be buying also, my guess. So it's the first time in years that the Habs trade deadline will not be what it used to be, which was either very quiet or they were selling.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
So, but I know that the Habs, I don't think they're going to go nuts and spend a bunch of first-round picks and trade prospects just for immediate help. But in general, I think what happens is, and I think we've talked about it before, trade deadline deals involving picks and prospects, I find, are a little bit overrated in the sense that there are very, very few prospects, top prospects, who get traded. We'll remember Philip Forsberg. That was 13 years ago. Here and there's going to be guys that are traded that are decent prospects, but most of the prospects that are being traded are B-level prospects. And most of the first-round picks that get traded end up being the 25th, 26th, 27th. Once in a while, you're going to get a top 15 pick because the team missed the playoffs. Or what I like is when GMs trade for future picks, because future picks, you never know. Look what happened in San Jose many years ago. They thought they were a contender. They finish in the bottom of the standings, and that number 3 pick that they had given to Ottawa becomes Tim Stützle. So here and there, you're going to find something like that. So if I were GM right now, look at Florida. Florida's pick this year doesn't look good.
No.
Who would have thought? And they're giving it away. So if I were GM, honestly, and I had job security, I would ask for 27, 28 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Sam Pollock did in the 70s with the Habs.
Makes sense.
And that's basically how the Habs got the number 1 pick in 1980 for a trade that was made 4 years earlier. So it's not that crazy, because right now you're going to get a late first-round pick. Okay, it's going to be the 28, 29, 30th pick overall. Mm-hmm. Chances are you're going to get a bottom 6 player or a third-pairing defenseman. Once in a while, you get a Pasternak, but it's rare. So that would be my strategy if possible. But teams more and more, they protect that pick, because I think, I'm not the only one who thought of it. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll give you a 2027 pick, but I'll protect the top 5 or I'll protect the top 10.
Yeah.
Because you never know. They don't want the Tim Stützle thing happening again.
Yeah.
So that was a little parentheses about trade deadlines. And let's see if there's any more big trades left in the NBA. As we're recording, it's 1:38 p.m. and the trade deadline is at 3 o'clock, I think. But I'm not surprised that there were not that many trades happening in the NHL yesterday at the roster freeze period.
Yeah,
I think Panarin was like a done deal because he had been taken out of the lineup a week ago. But the bulk of this stuff will happen maybe at the end of roster freeze.
Yep.
Because, like I said, they're going to be negotiating for the next 18 days.
There's going to be a 2-week period there after the Olympics and before the deadline that I think could be really, really active. And Snake, I mean, this is going to be a seller's market because there is only 6 teams.
Yeah.
6 teams below 500. Like there are a ton of teams who could believe that they're buyers. So they're like, well, okay, well, let's bulk up the offer. And then those 6 teams that are selling, or maybe more, they'll be like, oh yeah, bring in the offers. We're going to pump up those numbers and get way more value. So
it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you want to do with your team. And that listener's question that we're going to tackle at the end of the show. Pretty much has to do with, what do you want to do? You want to win the cup, or you just want to make the playoffs year after year?
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. Wait for that one. It's a great question. But Snake, while we're on the topic of trades, might as well talk about it. Artemi Panarin finally, after so long talking about it, heads over to the Los Angeles Kings. And in return, the New York Rangers receive Liam Greentree, a 2026 conditional third-round pick, and a 2028 conditional fourth-round pick. Now, the conditions to those picks, listen closely here. The third-round pick is the better of Los Angeles or Dallas's third-round pick, and it upgrades to a 2026 second-round pick if LA wins a playoff round this year. The condition on the fourth-round pick is only if LA wins 2 playoff rounds in 2026. So the fourth might not even happen.
No.
Okay. And then the other component, of course, is Liam Greentree. Now, drafted in the first round, had a fantastic season last year, 119 points in 64 games. But this year, 45 points in 34 games.
It was a pick. It was a pick originally owned by the Montreal Canadiens, the 26th pick in 2024. Yep. But they moved up to 21 in order to draft Michael H. And so that's probably the type of player that the Habs would have had at 26, Liam Greentree. I much prefer Michael H., by the way, which often is the difference. At the end of the first round, there's a big difference sometimes between the 20th, or the 21st, and the 26th pick, because that's where the quality of of talent or skills, whatever, really drops down. Mm-hmm. So odds are you're going to get mostly a bottom 6 player at that stage. Speaking of bottom 6, I don't know where Liam Greentree is going to end up in the NHL, but I think his absolute ceiling is middle of the lineup player. Mm. Depending on the strength of the Rangers at the time.
Yeah,
he could hit the second line, most probably the third line, because what happens with this guy, there was his production went down, but sometimes it does happen at age 19 because players are sometimes being told by teams, well, you got to work on this or you got to work on that. So you don't have to score 100 points. We want you to work on other aspects of your game. So I'm not too concerned about the production this year. However, my take on Greentree, and it was the same take a couple of years ago when he was drafted. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is skilled. Yes, he can skate, and he's a big guy. Mm-hmm. The only problem, and he sometimes uses physicality as it's a tool, for him. Yep. So on paper, it looks like a great guy to have. And a lot of people were wondering last year after he had so many points, why was he drafted 26? Mm-hmm. Okay, I know that NHL teams sometimes miss on players. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. But most of the time, they know what they're doing. So the reason why Greentree fell to 26, my opinion, is that it's a problem of consistency. This is a guy who can show up in the first period and be absolutely fantastic because he is skilled, and then he disappears for the rest of the game. So sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. And to me, it's always a red flag because I know no player is perfect. No player is going to play 3 periods, 82 games at full capacity. But this guy, I mean, you like to have a little bit of certainty with a player. You have to know what he's going to give you night after night. And Greentree, I think that's the reason why he fell in the draft. And that's probably the reason why Los Angeles was ready to part with him. Mm-hmm. Of course, they had to give something up. But they probably, when teams trade prospects, very often, no one knows a prospect better than their own team.
That's it.
Very often, they know what they're doing. And that's why you see trades that are for, analysts and fans that are head scratchers. But then once the player gets to your team, you're like, okay, now I see why they traded him.
Yeah,
not always, but very often. And we've seen this in Montreal. We've seen it everywhere else. And My opinion, however, considering that the Rangers had no choice but to trade him to the Kings, because Panarin, in my book, was practically a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Mitch Marner, when he was traded to Vegas the day before free agency started, he was a free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, Toronto was not going to dictate where he was going to go. It was like, I'm signing there. I want an extra year. We'll do a sign and trade. You'll get something in return. Mm-hmm. So basically, Panarin, there was no market for him. Well, I mean, there was a market for him, but that market was artificial because he only wanted to go to the Kings. And according to Elliot Friedman, he had 4-year offers on the table from other teams.
I think Seattle was one.
Yeah. Seattle, I think Washington, whatever. And I don't know if the Sharks were really serious, but anyway, it would have been different. They would have gotten the first-round pick and probably a better prospect had there had been a market for him. But there was no market. He wanted to go to LA. He got the 2-year extension only. He didn't mind. That's where he wanted to play. Mm-hmm. And so it's more like, okay, we're going to be accommodating. We know you're going to sign in LA on July 1st. Let's try and get something. You know what? A third that could become a second if they win a round. Not impossible that the Kings win a round because it's a very weak division. You never know. And Greentree, look, if he's an NHL player and he plays on the third line and scores a few goals, I mean, it's obviously much better than nothing. Mm-hmm. So it's not, it's almost like, in my book, I know it's kind of weird what I'm going to say, but it's almost like they got these picks on Greentree for free. Because Panarin was leaving for Los Angeles.
He was gone no matter
what. Los Angeles could have sat there and say, look, we're going to wait until July 1st. So you play your guy, you leave him in the stands. We don't care. July 1st, he's signing here. Mm-hmm. Just the way Panarin at the time wanted to sign with the Rangers. He did the same thing.
Yeah.
We all knew he was going to the Rangers. Adam Fox, you remember, it was different circumstances, but he kept being traded, and it was like, no, I'm going to the Rangers. So I'm going to play out my eligibility in college. I'm signing with the Rangers. Mm-hmm. So you want to get a little something in return? Trade me to the Rangers. So the only leverage that a team could have had is say, okay, we'll make you stay in college for 4 years.
Yeah.
But, that's nasty. So they traded him. They got something in return. So that's the thing. So I think in that sense, the Rangers did well. But for Rangers fans out there, is Greentree going to be a top? Is Greentree really a top prospect? The answer is no.
That's it, Snake. I mean, I saw a bunch of Rangers fans like not crying, but complaining about the returns. Like, this isn't equivalent to Panarin. Well, there's many factors that we just explained as to why it's not equivalent to Panarin. And one of those, I mean, we circle back now to no trade clauses because that gives the players all the power, essentially. It's like, hey, we have a trade in place, but it's to this team. Do you want to go? No. Okay. Well, nothing we can do here. It's in your contract. We can't trade you unless you accept, right? So, and we see so many more no trade clauses now, Snake. Every new contract that no trade clause, trade clause.
Some people are talking about
these GMs, man.
Yeah, some people were talking about the Leafs cleaning house. Possibly. How? If Austin Matthews does want to leave, no, he's not going to leave. If John Tavares does want to leave, if William Nylander doesn't want to leave, that's it. And I remember GM Alex Anthopoulos of the Braves, who was with the Blue Jays many years ago. One of the things that he didn't want to do when he was with the Blue Jays was to give no trade clauses because he goes, it ties up your hands. Of course, some agents will say, okay, we'll sign elsewhere. Yeah. But okay, sign elsewhere. I think if you're going to play hardball, fine. There are consequences, but there are also consequences of not playing hardball. So, okay, Matthews is not going to sign if he doesn't get a no trade clause.
Yeah.
Okay, you're sure you don't want to sign? Okay, we trade you. Unless you're willing to live with the consequences of the contract being becoming a burden at some point or whatever, and there's nothing you can do because the guy's not going to move. I think the only way you can get guys to move is at some point if you start emptying the club from all the good players that don't have the no trade clause, and at some point a guy like Matthews or Nylander could say, look, I'm 30 years old. I don't want to be part of a rebuild.
Yeah.
But then again, well, I only want to play for so and so.
That's it.
Okay.
The GM is still handcuffed. Like these are weird decisions sometimes, and especially considering which players sometimes get the no trade clause. You're like, what?
Yeah, and it depends on the age also. It depends on the age of the players. Because if you look at the Montreal Canadiens, okay, they signed some players to no trade clauses, okay, but those players are so young that it doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
I think doesn't Lane Hudson have a no trade clause or something? I'm not even sure.
I'll find that out right now.
Yeah, I don't think he has a no trade clause on the extension. Maybe he does on the extension.
I don't see one.
No, but maybe on the extension, I had read that he had one. Mike Madison has one on the extension that he signed.
Yep.
But
Noah Dobson has one.
Yeah. So, but it's okay because these guys are quite young.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you sign a 28, 29-year-old player to a no trade clause, you're in trouble.
Big time. I mean, the Seattle Kraken, okay, let me read the names of people who have a no trade clause. Chandler Stevenson has a full no move clause. Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah, he's a decent player,
Short,
but I mean, come on. Yeah.
Jared McCann, Jordan Eberle, Frédéric Gaumond. I could keep going. Vince Dunn, Brandon Montour, Adam Larson, Jamie Alexiak, Ryan Lindgren. All of these players have no trade clause.
And you know what? They're all decent players. Nothing against them. But I think none of them had the leverage to ask for a no trade clause. I can understand Lane Hudson wanting a no trade clause, and he has leverage. But this guy, these guys in Seattle. Anyway, Seattle was after Panarin. Why? And that's going to be part of the topic. At the end, the listener's question. Mm-hmm. Where are they going? What's Seattle's goal?
Pisses me off, man.
What's Seattle's goal? The cup or just being good? So that's my take on the Los Angeles Kings trade. Another team, like Ken Holland, dreaming in Technicolor, and that's what happens when you have an older GM,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the owners are older, so they feel that okay, I don't want to do a rebuild. I'm 83 years old.
Yeah. And maybe the reason also why they wanted to do it now instead of waiting to July 1st is because Anze Kopitar is retiring. So they're like, okay, well, we'll give him another piece here to try to help him go and make a run in the playoffs, something like that. But
because I'll tell you something, I always wonder, it's kind of funny. I'm 60 years old and I love rebuilding teams because I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see them win the cup one day or something. If I live to be 85, it's probably I'm probably going to be, my fandom will probably on a year-by-year basis. No.
Don't sell yourself short, man.
No, but you understand what I mean. That's why sometimes, Ken Holland, he's at the back, he's on the back nine of his career as a GM. And probably that, he's thinking, that we play in a weak division, which is true.
Yeah.
Panarin is still a game changer for a couple of years, I would think. He's still a game changer. And why not? Let's go for it. Yeah. If we can win a couple of rounds and at some point, then the contract is okay, $11 million for a 2-year extension.
2 years,
I think it's fine. I think he did very well in that sense. But what's the deal with the Kings? Because when you think about it, his contract will replace Kopitar's contract.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because Kopitar is leaving at the end of the year. So Panarin is just replacing Kopitar. We'll see what happens. They might win a round this year. Who knows? But they usually always lose to the Oilers.
But man, that playoff format needs to die.
Why is it that everyone keeps talking about it and it's not getting done? I know Gary Bettman seems like a very stubborn man, and sometimes, sometimes to a fault, but sometimes he hasn't been a bad commissioner, whatever people say. He made
the game has grown.
The game has grown.
Yeah.
And some of the darts that he threw on certain non-traditional markets really worked out. I know people keep mentioning Phoenix and Arizona and everything. But, Arizona, in Glendale, the arena was not well located. Maybe it would have worked downtown. Maybe it'll come back one day. But overall, you know what he's done? A lot of people thought Nashville, and they have a very good fan base in Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I have to say, and for Anaheim, I went to Anaheim. They have a very good fan base in Anaheim. Mm-hmm. Lots of jerseys, lots of knowledgeable hockey fans. So I'm not the one to constantly, poo-poo on Bettman like some do, because it's kind of like fashionable. But this playoff format is ridiculous.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
116, 215 would be fantastic to me, but I do understand the travel. If Detroit plays Los Angeles and Montreal plays,
at least do 1-8.
At least 1-8. At least 1-8. 1-8 would be good. It used to be like that. I didn't know. I don't know why they played with that format. Anyway,
nobody likes it. Nobody likes it.
Because
I never heard a single person say, "Oh, I love that format."
The division format back in the day, in the 80s, you always had Montreal, Quebec, or Montreal, Boston series. It's good and it's not good at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, the Montreal, Quebec series were fun, but you had them almost every year. The Montreal, Boston were fun, but you almost had them every year. So, there are pros to having this, but there are cons. And when the matchups are not interesting, then it's like, oh, boy, again? The Habs might play Detroit this year. This is fantastic. They haven't played Detroit in 40, 47, or 48 years.
Yeah, that's a great match.
Yeah, that's an uncommon, it's a brand new, it's a fresh matchup, let's say. Yeah.
Anyways, listen, I could go on about Bettman. I'm not his biggest fan. I'll say that publicly. I think the NHL has done many things wrong, but they also have done a lot of things right. However, that is not the topic of today's show, and I think people want to hear about the big one here. Gavin McKenna. Let's dive into this. Yeah. Let's dive into this because this news broke yesterday while we were doing the eye test. And by the way, plug for the eye test. We're going to have Ken Holland on today, live at 4 p.m. So tune in for that, okay? But now, when we were recording the eye test yesterday, live, the news broke and we're all like, is this real? Like, is Gavin McKenna going to jail? Like, what's going on here? So anyways, 24 hours later, we're able to kind of piece things together and we have a little more information. However, we do not have yet the full picture. So as it stands now, Gavin McKenna is facing 4 charges, including a felony of aggravated assault. He broke a guy's jaw at a bar. This, the story goes something along the lines of some dude was talking trash to his mom. Gavin didn't sit for that, and he knocked him out. Something along those lines, right? Not
the old-fashioned way, Shayne. The old-fashioned way.
Exactly.
Back in my day as a teenager, that's how things were settled.
So, look, there are a few conflicting reports. We don't have the videos. We can't really discuss that as a whole. However, we can discuss the perspective of the scouts in the matter. Okay, because he is eligible to be drafted this year. And depending on how the story goes, it could either negatively impact his draft stock, or some are saying positively impact his draft stock.
Well, whatever procedure will take place after the draft. But I think by now we're going to see what the accusations are. Yeah. Look, it's very it's a nice clickbait, to say that he could go to jail for 20 years.
Jeez.
We all know it's not going to happen.
No.
I know we don't have all the facts, but it's not like he murdered the guy. So we'll see what happens. But one thing is sure is that I think by June, the legal teams of the teams that are potentially going to be drafting McKenna, let's say top 4 teams, top 3 teams, they're going to go through all this and say, okay, what are the chances that Gavin McKenna goes to jail? What are the chances, and if so, how long? What are the chances that he's going to pay a fine? But mostly, you know what I think it is? I think teams, when they interview him, they'll want to know.
That's it, from him.
Yeah, what got into him. Because they always do these these tests, with players to see their character.
Mhm.
And usually when there's
Draft
an
combine.
incident, whether it be hazing, whether it be violence, whether it be drugs, they're always going to say, okay, let's see if the guy is a serial puncher or if it's just a one-off incident because, he was mad because someone said, insulted his mom. He's 18 years old. And, maybe we would have reacted the same way.
Yeah.
So we don't have all the facts, but I think this is what teams are going to do. They're going to see, okay, is it a one-off or is he going to be a troublemaker?
Mhm.
Because we've seen in the past incidents involving draft eligible players and teams kind of backed off. And then the player had a very fine career. He was a very fine person, but there are other times where incidents became the norm.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if we talked about him on the show, but there was a guy called Lynn Gates for the San Jose Sharks in the 90s.
He got
You
in a
know who
bar
I'm
fight.
talking about.
Yeah, the legendary picture of
Yeah.
the North Star jersey with the black eye. He
There
got
you
in a
go.
fight
There
the,
you go.
The night before the draft. Of course, I know that.
Yeah, Lynn Gates. And
Great
you know about it. You weren't even born and you know about it.
Yeah.
So so for the audience, Google Lynn Gates, Gaetz. He was the missing link, they were calling him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy, it was incident after incident. They drafted him as, let's call it a goon. But he was more trouble than it was worth.
Mhm.
So, and that's just one example. But other guys, I honestly don't really think it's going to affect his draft stock unless team lawyers tell them, look, be careful.
Yeah.
But
I don't.
if he gets like probation, if it's a fine, if it's community work, if there's a legal, a civil lawsuit against him, that doesn't affect his draft status.
Mhm.
It only affects his draft status if he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Now the question is, right now,
Can't try.
in the short term, he's Canadian, he's in the States. And any country, but the States are very hard on this. Anybody accused of a crime, or not necessarily accused, but found guilty, are they going to stay in the country? Or that I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, but there was speculation that Penn State could kick him out.
Oof.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it
South
too.
jerseys, man.
Yeah,
No-
because
no
you know what,
chance.
being accused on something and being found guilty is two different things.
Yeah.
But we have seen in the NFL sometimes players being accused of, let's say, well, remember Slava Voinov from the Kings?
Yeesh.
He was kicked out of the States,
Yeah.
and the minute he was accused of hitting his, beating his wife, the Kings let go of him.
That's serious stuff.
But it's very, very serious. I mean, if you remember the incident,
Yeah.
again,
Bueno.
Google listeners, Google Voinov, you'll see the incident. It was really bad.
No bueno.
So that's the thing. Now it's an 18-year-old guy punching a supposedly drunk guy in a bar. I mean, these things happen every day.
Pretty much.
But now it's a high profile thing because it's Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, and I mean, Snake, you bring up Link Gates. Another example that actually turned out well is Kevin Bieksa.
Yes,
Remember that one with
yes.
Berkey?
Yeah.
Brian Burke. Who, so for those who don't know the story, essentially, I'll simplify it. Kevin Bieksa plays in the AHL. He knocks out a teammate who was talking trash. Brian Burke takes notice and then brings him up to the NHL, and he ends up having a nice career. So
Yeah.
that turned out pretty well. But again, now look, I don't know how insensitive this may be, Snake, but I'm just going to ask you anyways.
Mhm.
Could scouts see this as like a positive in the sense that, hey, he can defend himself? Like this guy can break a guy's jaw.
I don't know. I mean, look, nothing would surprise me with old-time scouts, and
That's it.
like I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is how things were settled back when I was a teenager. I remember I went to a very I would say quiet school, if you know what I mean. I didn't go to a school where there were fights or anything, but there was one guy, he was really annoying. and everyone wanted to, punch him in the face. And at some point, there was one guy who did. And then the guy went to see the principal, and the principal said, well, let's not say it loud, but you're not going to be suspended. You're not going to be in trouble because, it was about time someone shut his trap.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to a school where, the principal was pretty strict. Yeah. So, but that was back in the day. That was in the 80s. So I don't know how it's going to be perceived, but it's been a frustrating year for McKenna. I mean, maybe he took it out on this guy.
Yeah.
Because right now, imagine Gavin McKenna stays in Medicine Hat. This incident probably doesn't happen. Well, I mean, not that incident, but there might not be any incident. He scores 195 points. And he's the next Connor McDavid. He's the next Connor McDavid. Although there were red flags about his game last year in the Memorial Cup. We've talked about it many times. But if he scores 190 points this year, I mean, he's the uncontested number one pick. Yeah. So it tells you, it goes to show that in life, things can derail. And depending on the choices you make, and that choice seems like fine, but then something happens and things derail. If he stays in Medicine Hat, none of this happens, and probably no one questions his status as the number one guy. Now, let's see a team is on the fence about taking him, or let's say Stenberg or Verhoff.
Yeah.
And they're really on the fence. Okay, they might say, okay, let's not bother with a guy who's had trouble with the law. But the NFL, there's a lot of guys who get in trouble with the law pre-draft.
Yeah.
Some of them slip, some of them don't. I think it depends on the circumstances. Just that in hockey, we're not used to that type of behavior.
That's it.
We're not used to that type of stuff. Logan Mailloux fell in the draft because of the incident in Sweden.
I mean, he himself recluded himself from the draft, and then the Habs took him anyways. But he said he told teams, "Don't draft me."
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not minimizing what he did, but there's one thing I can tell you is that first of all, he was a minor when this happened, so it could have never come out because the identity of minors is protected in these cases. And second of all, he paid his fine. Yeah. He went to court. He paid his fine. So basically, it was like, what are you going to do? I was reading at the time, he should be barred from hockey. Okay, come on. The guy paid his dues. He had a fine. He paid his dues. It's not nice what he did. Other players, I can tell you, do it, but they don't get caught, or they don't volunteer the information that they got caught. But the point is, you can't prevent Mailloux from earning a living when he's paid his dues to the court, to society. And basically, the thing was a fine. I mean, Craig McTavish, back in the 80s, Craig McTavish, who was a coach and GM for the Oilers, there was an accident where he was drunk and he killed someone.
Yeah.
He went to jail for 1 year. No one wanted to touch him with a 10-foot pole when he got out of jail. The Oilers, at the time, they were like, okay, let's give it a shot. And then he had a very successful career. So some people said at the time, well, he killed someone. Yeah, but you know what? He went to jail. Mm-hmm. And at some point, the court system decided that he had paid his dues. So then what do? You prevent him from earning a living?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sociology justice thing. I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying that, and I'm not like knowledgeable enough to get into this, but it's just to explain how teams might think about what's going to happen with Gavin McKenna, because it was like a friend texts me yesterday. He's going to jail for 20 years. Okay, what happened?
Yeah, no, he's not seeing a second of jail time.
I don't.
If I went on Betway and they offered to bet on what the outcome of the situation, the case is going to be dismissed. That's my take. You know what? As soon as we see the footage, and I mean, there's so many the témoins, the
witnesses.
Thank you.
Eyewitnesses.
So many witnesses that this is going to get dismissed. There's no doubt about it. So, anyways, that's it for McKenna. But Listen, we're staying on the controversial train, okay? Because
Yeah.
we're going to Russia here. And we're going to Team Russia, or what could have been had they not been excluded from the Olympics this season. Now, whether you think they should be there or shouldn't be there, we're not going to tackle that. We are not a political show. We are a hockey show.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk hockey. What could Team Russia have looked like? Snake, I think you have a list for us.
Yeah, I think it was an easier list than I thought because there are not that many Russian players in the NHL. And to be honest with you, I only included one player from the KHL. And basically, it's a little bit by default. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. I chose 14 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 3 goalies.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with the goalies because it's pretty simple. You know, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky. Honorable mention to Askarov.
Sorokin.
And
Sorokin.
Yeah, Sorokin also, but
he's good.
I would go with the 3 guys, but yeah, there could have been 5 guys on the team.
Nuts.
Yes, yeah.
So much.
So I think in that, whoever they put in, you go with the hottest hand, and they would have been like really, really. You put these guys in net for Canada. And I don't think we're even talking about the silver medal. Yeah. Now, on defense, like I say, pretty easy because there are not that many good Russian defensemen in the NHL.
It's true.
So I think if you ask a lot of people to make that list, just looking at the list, I think we would all come up with the same 8 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So without any particular order, I had Sergachev, Artem Zub, good defensive player for Ottawa. Alex Nikishin in Carolina, good rookie.
Love him.
And Gavrikov.
Mm-hmm.
I have Orlov in San Jose, not what he used to be, but still a decent guy. Provorov, Zadorov for physicality. And he's injured right now, but I would have included Alex Romanov.
Yeah.
Good defensive guy. So I think there's not much choice. I don't think that would have been controversial. Now, for the forwards, there are so many good wingers from Russia.
That's the thing. They're all wingers, Snake.
Exactly.
There's like Malkin at center, and that's it.
Exactly. So I crafted something, at center. But let's start with the wingers. Kucherov, Kaprizov, Panarin, Ovechkin, Demidov, Svechnikov, Nishushkin, Marchenko, Dorofeyev, and Voronkov.
Oh,
I omitted Mishkov for this year. I don't think he deserved to be on the team.
No.
You can make a case for him because he's a skilled player. You have him play against Latvia, and he can score maybe 5 goals. But I'm not sure how he would do against the States or Canada. Now, at center, Malkin.
Yeah.
He's still a point per game player, although he's like 1 million years old. But he's still a point per game player. I have Barbashev. I like Barbashev.
Yeah.
You can put Barbashev in there. But, I mean, this is no McDavid, McKinnon, Celebrini. Crosby. Pavel Buchnevich, maybe as a third-line center. And I had to get my fourth-line center in the KHL, although I think he's not what he used to be. He used to be a star. Had you done this maybe 8 years ago, he would have been...
Kuznetsov?
Yeah. Well, who else? Who else?
I mean, at some point, maybe you convert a winger into a center.
Yeah. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah.
But I was trying to really keep, centerman. I tried to follow because I know Canada, it's the other way around. They have so many centermen that they're going to convert to wing, but that's much easier than converting a winger to a centerman. So how would that team do now? Okay. What do you think, Shayne? How would that team do?
The wingers are ridiculous. I like the defense. The goaltending would be the best in the tournament. I think there's a lot of redundancy on that team. There's a lot of redundancy. And it's not necessarily bad redundancy, but you take players like Kucherov, Kaprizov, Panarin, Demidov, like right then and there, those are very similar types of players. You only have like a Svechnikov who can play a little physical. Voronkov, yeah. There's a lot of redundancy, I feel like, and the defense is, aside from Sergachev, let's just say, not offensively gifted would be the correct term. So not a lot of offense from the back end, but decent defensively. Not that they really need it because of the goaltending. These would be like 2-1 games, right? If they played.
I agree. I agree with you, Shayne, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate here just for fun.
Sure.
Kucherov, Kaprizov, Panarin. Yeah, there is redundancy. I do agree. However, if you put each guy on a different line, then you might have three first lines.
Oh, that's
you can also see it that way.
It's how you build the roster. It's true. Yeah.
But it's because you can always make up something, and it all depends if it's a fit. Because easily you can say, okay, I'll play Kucherov, let's say with Nishushkin. That's the physical guy. I'll play Kaprizov with Svetnikov, and I'll play Panarin with Voronkov, let's say. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And in a short tournament, I mean, these guys don't play together every day. It's not like what it used to be in the USSR, where basically the national team was the Red Army. The Red Army was playing in the Russian League, which was not the KHL, but the equivalent. So basically, when they went to the Olympics, out of 23 players, I think 20 of them came from the Red Army team. So it was a national team playing together all year. And that's why they had so much success. Also, the fact that NHL players were not going to the Olympics. But you know what I mean? When it came to play Canada in all these series that you can watch on YouTube over and over, just tell yourself that the national team was pretty much one team from the Russian League. Yeah. And they would sprinkle 2 or 3 guys who were the best players on other teams. So that's the thing. It's hard to tell with Russians. I think the 2-1 hypothesis is not bad. Mm-hmm. I think they would be contending for a medal, obviously. And
to answer your question, Snake, I would have them finishing third.
Yeah, me too.
I think the roster you just named could medal.
But like, you never know with Sweden. Easily. You never know. Sweden, Russia.
Got injuries, man.
It's one game.
They got injuries.
They got injuries. Yeah. So you know what? I think it would have been bronze medal.
Yeah.
And we like I say, I am absolutely like I'm absolutely don't know anything about Russian politics and all that stuff. I don't have much interest. I mean, you can't follow everything in life. But I have to tell you, I miss Russians in international competition.
Not the same.
On the hockey side, I miss Russians. Look, they play in the NHL at least, so we get to see them. But I miss the Russian team because especially these tournaments like U17, U18, U20, it always feels like you're missing a good country. So you're going to have the Canada, you're going to have the States, Sweden, Finland, but then, Czechia, Slovakia, and then you have Switzerland and Poland, and so you would need like probably one more team. And I always feel that way. I look at the World Juniors and I'm like, where are the Russians? Would be fun to see them because there are good players. There are some very good players. Are the Russians as good as they were, let's say, 40, 50 years ago when they were just sitting in their country? I think one factor was that they all played on the same team. Mm-hmm. But the second factor also was that it was a team game. If you go back and look at these clips or games from yesteryear, not many shots on goal because they were always looking for the perfect passing play before they took a shot. That kind of hurt them sometimes, but still, there was no me on a Russian team.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like ever since these guys arrived in the NHL 35 years ago, there's a lot of individualistic players.
Fair.
And that's why, how would this all gel?
It's another factor.
Kaprizov, I'm not saying these guys play for themselves, because look, they're fun players to watch. I like them a lot, but I'm just trying to see, who's really, who would adhere to playing as a team as much as back in the day. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure. Ovechkin, he shoots, and Kucherov is a good passer, that I have to say.
He's incredible.
Kaprizov, he's a rocket.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. Demidov is a good team player, I would say.
Big time.
Yeah, he dangles a lot, but he makes great passes. He has good vision. So really, I don't know. Nishushkin, I like a lot. He's a good physical guy, and he it was a nice comeback considering that the beginning of his career was really, really bad.
Yeah, and then he got in trouble a little bit.
Oh yeah, a lot. And that's an understatement. But then in Colorado, he was a big contributor to their Stanley Cup 4 years ago, and I think he's going to be. I watched the game against San Jose last night. He was pretty darn good, and I think he's going to be a good contributor. But yeah, I would say bronze medal.
Absolutely. Well, let's ask the viewers now.
Yes.
What do you think about Team Russia? How would they place in these Olympics? We're curious to hear your thoughts. Now, Snake, before we move along, I think it's a perfect opportunity for me to talk a little bit about our partners here at the Sick Podcast that make this show possible. And I want to start off with a big shout out to our friends at Cheapest T-Shirts. If you're looking for the cheapest prices on wholesale apparel in Canada, you will find them at cheapesttshirts.ca. They're proudly Canadian and trusted by thousands of customers from coast to coast. They deliver unbeatable value every day. You'll always get the cheapest prices, plus same-day shipping and even next-day delivery. So your order arrives fast. With over 1,000 products and more than 36 trusted brands like Gildan, Jerseys, American Apparel, M&O, and Comfort Colors, the selection is unmatched. Plus, you can enjoy free shipping on larger orders and a simple, easy-to-use website that makes online ordering a breeze. Get the cheapest deals in Canada today at cheapesttshirts.ca. And of course, don't select a bust with Betway and get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. The offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. And of course, got to be 18 years or older. Please play responsibly. And with that, I think it's time to go dig it in the mailbag. One question today, but it's a good one. Let's pull it up. It comes from Francois. Asking question for Snake. How many different models for building a winning/championship team are there in the NHL? We know about those teams who have gone for a complete rebuild from scratch, mentioning the Habs, the Ducks, the Blackhawks, the Mammoth, and the Sharks, who might be deviating from that plan. And the Vegas plan, which is completely unique. They just trade everyone for everyone, it seems. But what other models are there? Which teams don't appear to have a model? How many teams are concerned with just having a good team as opposed to a championship winning team? Merci. Merci, Francois.
That's a loaded question, but it was detailed. It was good. I think obviously the model that we're all looking at as the most fun model, maybe, or not the ideal model, but the most fun model is the rebuild. Rebuilds are fun. I mean, at least for me, for you, rebuilds are fun, and because you usually get high draft picks, and high draft picks most of the time become stars like Celebrini and Connor Bedard, and all these teams. I think the 5 teams that Francois targeted: Utah, Montreal, Chicago, San Jose, and Anaheim. That's pretty much it. That was the most recent rebuilds that almost started from scratch. The Canadians kept a couple of players like Suzuki, Caulfield. Chicago, it was a total rebuild. San Jose, it was a total rebuild. They really destroyed the foundations of the team. Now, that's one model. We'll see if any of these 5 teams win the Cup. But in the past, Pittsburgh has done it. Chicago's done it. And to an extent, Colorado, they got high draft picks. Los Angeles Kings, they got high draft picks. So one thing that these teams had in common is that at some point they bottomed out. Mm-hmm. And whether because they were incompetent or whether on purpose, in the sense that they pretty much cleared the team, traded away all the main older assets. Now, that's one model. We'll see what happens with these. I think chances are one of the 5 teams mentioned will win a cup within the next 5 to 7 years. That's my guess. And we'll pull out the tape at that point if it does or doesn't happen. Now, Vegas, okay, let's forget about Vegas. Well, not forget about it, but Vegas, I think it was weird because at first they were going for the build from scratch model. They accumulated all these draft picks. They had 3 first-round picks, including Nick Suzuki, the first year that they of their existence. But then they took off and they reached the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're thinking, okay, we can go back now.
Yeah.
Because it just so happened that the collection of players they assembled was pretty darn good. Contrary to previous expansions, where basically they were getting the 15 best forward and the 10 best defensemen. Now because of some teams' mistakes, and also because the pool was much richer, they build a team. Okay, William Karlsson got 43 goals. Who would have thought? But still, they did it. And I think then they didn't want to back off. And then they started doing let's push forward. Let's always push forward. Okay, we're trading away first-round picks. We're trading away prospects. Only 1 first-round pick is left from all their drafts since 2017. Trevor Connolly. He might be gone within a month. He might be gone. He's doing well in the American Hockey League, but he might be gone. So, but Vegas is also following a model that Tampa Bay is kind of doing this. Okay, Tampa Bay is a traditional team. They didn't go through expansion the way Vegas did. But Tampa Bay is really, okay, let's trade the 2026 pick. Let's trade a prospect. Let's trade the 27. So they're milking it until at some point they collapse. Will they collapse? I mean, chances are they will. But they're really pushing it back. They haven't won the cup since 2021. But they're always contenders. You can't really write them off. You can't say that Tampa Bay is not going to win this year. You never know. So that's the thing. So that's another model. Then the Blues, 2019 Blues. The asterisk. Why the asterisk? Not because they were not a good team. They were a good team. But it was not, although they had high draft picks like Alex Pietrangelo, they were not built the same way, let's say, other teams we mentioned were. Yeah. It sort of like caught fire at the right time. Bennington was incredible. They were powered by Gloria, the song. I mean, it was like, it was magical. But it was an aberration. Not that they were not a good team, but especially that they were 32nd in the standings around Christmas time. And Doug Armstrong said that he was a few days away from selling. So let's forget about the Blues, okay? It's not a model. It just happened. Yeah. Now, teams that seem to only want to be good and not win, well, I'm going to name you some names.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Los Angeles Kings are one of them. Okay. I think Seattle seems to be going in that direction.
Big time.
Yeah. For a long time, Calgary was. And not very successful at it because it's not like they won a million playoff series since they last won the Stanley Cup in 1989. Nashville seems to be like that also. Yeah. Nashville never really want to rebuild, never really want to go for it. But at the same time, and if you look at this, a lot of these these cities are non-traditional markets. I mean, not Calgary, but, LA, Seattle, Nashville. And I think in those cities, team owners are afraid that 3, 4, 5 years of a team, if your team sucks, you're going to lose a generation of fans. Whereas that in Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, fans might lose a little bit of interest. Ratings might go down. TV ratings went down a little bit for the Habs, when they were not good. But you knew that this crowd was gonna rejoin they were going to hop on the train again after a 3-game winning streak. San Jose, they took a chance. It's a non-traditional market, although they've been there for 35 years. And the owner said it last fall in the press conference that basically they were taking a chance because he goes, I would go to the arena and see that the stands were empty. And you don't want to fall into oblivion. You don't want to become a footnote.
No.
Luckily for San Jose, although they're in the San Francisco area, they are still the only team in town except for the MLS team. So that helps. Now, the Blues seem to be going in that direction, just being good. Columbus, they play yo-yo constantly. High draft pick, then trades, and et cetera, et cetera. Islanders seem to be like that with Lamoriello. But now with Mathieu Dash and Matthew Schaefer, I think everything changes. They might go for it.
They lucked out there. Oh, boy.
Boston, you don't really know. I mean, the strategy is always to, play hard and we'll see.
Yeah.
They won a cup in 2011. And Detroit, I don't know. Yzerman seemed ready for a rebuild. And I think he tried to go a little bit too fast by signing all these free agents. So it's not really obvious what they're doing. So I think you have the rebuilders. You have, I just want to make the playoffs, and you have we don't know what the plan is.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer.
And we mentioned Seattle earlier in the show and how they frustrate me personally. I know they frustrate you because this is a team that should, focus on the youth, and yet they make all these weird decisions that, for some reason, they try to stay relevant, but again, they're circling in that gray area, and there is no sign of getting out. We've got some nice young prospects, but they're caught up with the cap structure is one of the worst in the league. They piss me off so much because I want that franchise to do well. I really do.
Well, they showed their true colors after the expansion draft when they started signing guys like Larson, Oleksiak for like 5 years. And I'm thinking, why? Just make it a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Tank?
I thought they could be Vegas again.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And did Vegas pick better players? Perhaps. We don't know. But again, it's about the mix. It's often about the mix because not many people thought that Vegas was going to make the playoffs in their first year. I don't think anyone thought they were going to finish last. But most predictions I remember were like, 26, 27 out of 31 teams. And look what happened. So, and I know Seattle, they were disadvantaged by the fact that other GMs knew what Vegas did and they were trying to prevent it. But you know what? You know what you do? Just take 20 players that suck and try to do it the Chicago way, let's say.
Yeah, bottom out.
Because you know what? Seattle, it's not a non-traditional market when you think about it. They're close to Canada. They had a very successful junior team. And this is the type of place where basically they have no basketball right now during winter time. This is the type of place where fans would have been very patient and very happy to get a Connor Bedard or a Macklin Celebrini.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
Oof.
Exactly. So, but no. So they anyway, don't get me started on Seattle. I could do a whole show about how not to build an expansion team.
Precisely. Well, Snake, that'll about do it for today's show. It was a fun one. It was a busy one. Lots of topics tackled, and I'm sure we forgot a few. So that's when we turn over to you, the viewer. Chime in the comments. Send in some questions. Send in some topic recommendations. You know the drill by now. And if you're not subscribed, do us a favor. Hit that button. Hit the bell. Hit the notification bell as well, so you never miss a new episode. Snake, anything else to add before we get out of here?
Have a good Super Bowl, everybody.
Have a good Super Bowl. Let's go Seahawks.
You love Seattle, don't you?
I have family in the area.
Oh, that's what it is.
I visited Seattle. I enjoyed my time there. I think they're a respectable franchise. I'm talking about the Seahawks. The Kraken, yet to be determined. So for now, we'll leave it at that. He's Simon the Snake Boisvert. I'm producer Shayne. Thank you to Jimmy at Master Control. This has been another edition of the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. We'll see you again on Monday.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Trust the Process on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.